So whenever we're talking about Uber, we're usually talking about from the driver's perspective and how dare they do this? How dare they do that? They're breaking laws, they're not paying people correctly, they're stealing from the customers, they're ripping their partners off. It's just crazy. But I was thinking to myself when I was reading the article that we're about to get into that it's funny because if we were with most companies have their bad sides, right? Especially the bigger companies around but it's not this bad. It's not always a new lawsuit every day and always somebody getting shot in the face or crazy stuff like this. And we all as drivers, especially veteran drivers, and by that I mean you could be a veteran driver after a few months. It's really just how much you engulf yourself in it. And we're so used to these lawsuits being like, the Uber did this, Uber did that. It's almost like becoming numb to us. And I know those of you that listen to the podcast, especially, usually I'm dropping so much news and wormholes for you to go down. If you want to go down them farther, they don't end where sometimes we stop talking about them. In fact, they're just getting started. The Rico case is a perfect example. That thing is popping back up now, and it's been kind of dormant for a little bit, at least for any news I could find. For a while, I could find all this news, then not much, little bits, but now it's kind of popping back up all over again. It's not really releasing a lot of news yet, but it's kind of resurfacing. So you can tell there's some news about to be dropped on that front for sure. But this week in the news, we have Uber sues Florida law firm medical clinics for fraud over car crashes. It's weird for me because I don't feel much sympathy at all for the company. Now, I drive for Uber and Uber Eats. Uber was the first one I was driving for back in 2015 out of all the gig apps that I do. And yeah, they're not my primary one anymore, but I still I still have the app and I still have it available. I still get on it from time to time. More Eats, but I'm still on it. And I see things like this and it's like, if I work for them, even if like there's some shady stuff going on and we know about a lawsuit or two, you still feel a little pride in a place you work with. And again, I know we're not employees, but a lot of you who do Uber rideshare, like they're your primary them and Lyft, so probably Uber is your primary way of getting clients. Now there are some doing private rides as well. However, most of the black car services that I know who were using Uber as like a way to grab some new clients or just get out there when things were slow so they could get the wheels turning on some cars. They're at a point now where they're like, you know what? I just need to work harder finding the clients because it's not worth it to have the wheels turning. So, but this one it's just kind of weird, I mean, I'm not shocked that this happened, but I don't really know how to describe in words how I felt when I saw this, because I was like, I'm trying to paint a picture here of like, not a W-2 employee, but if you're independent contracting and you find like 90% of your work coming from one place, you have to, even if you not 100% down, you have to have a little bit of pride in it, right? Am I right? I don't know. I feel like that's right. And when I see this, I'm like, seriously, all I thought to myself before I get into the article was, oh, how dare Uber sue anybody over anything? And then I even was reading the title and I'm like, well, if they did that, and then I was still like, how dare Uber sue them? Like, really? Like, they break all laws every day and have all their attorneys sitting just perched. And then they find this and they're all over it. And I read the article and the article isn't good. Like, Uber should have the right to sue this company. However, I still felt like, man, how dare you? You guys don't have any right. And it's based on their day-to-day operational practices and treatment of drivers, treatment of customers, calling us independent contractors, leaving us to deal with the customers. And if the customers complain, they deactivate you. There's so much illegal crap going on every day that it's just hard to see them calling foul. You know what I'm saying? So, earlier this week, and it was filed, ride-hailing company Uber filed a lawsuit against a Miami law firm, and a Miami medical center accusing them of orchestrating a medical insurance scam that involves staged car collisions. In the lawsuit filed on Tuesday in federal court, accuses personal injury firm law group of South Florida and firm attorney Andy Loines of participating in a scheme to pay drivers to intentionally collide with other cars and then claim they were using the Uber app while driving. So now I'm this far in the article, and at this point, I should absolutely have some kind of, oh man, Uber should sue them, right? Because it's everything we've heard. I mean, it has to be proven in a court still, but it sounds horrible, right? I still am like, you guys do this crap every day. Where do you get off? I'm still thinking, where do you get off? It might even be the title of today's podcast, Uber. Where do you get off? Actually, it's a great name for the podcast this week. But so auto mechanics and healthcare providers at River Medical Center in Miami and other clinics falsely said the crash caused severe injuries and required medical treatments, according to the lawsuit. Those false statements formed the basis of bogus lawsuits against Uber and its insurer, according to the lawsuit. Loines, described on the firm's website as a firm co-founder, declined to comment on Wednesday. I also find that interesting. Lawyers tell you never to speak, but it's funny because lawyers usually don't decline to speak unless it happened to be about some kind of like finding in a case, like at the last minute. I don't know. Usually they're at least like willing because they feel safe enough knowing legal jargon to at least say, yes, we're going to be taking this to court, so I can't get into any details at this time. Those kind of answers. But a person who answered the phone at Riverdale Medical Clinic declined to comment and declined to make anyone else at the company available. So the lawsuit, which claims that 4 fraudulent lawsuits were filed in Florida court stemming from the scheme, didn't specify how much they have cost Uber. The company said Uber has spent several millions of dollars in defense costs and settlements. Adam Blinick, Uber's head of state and local public policy in the US and Canada, in a reply to the request for comment on the lawsuit, said in a statement that Uber will take action if it sees something inappropriate on the platform. The 97-page lawsuit details 5 allegedly staged crashes, which all took place in or near Hialeah, Florida in 2023 and 2024. After each crash, Loines submitted insurance claims for the people involved for the maximum amount allowed under the policy, $1 million. The lawsuit claims after 4 crashes, Loines filed lawsuits that named Uber in its commercial auto liability insurance carrier. Some of the lawsuits are still pending in court, according to the lawsuit. So, I mean, the part that I find is, first of all, again, these stories, there's a bunch of stories out there on this specific story. You'll find a bunch of articles, but again, what I find really interesting is I still never felt that sense of, man, they should sue them. Like I never did through this. I was like, where do you get off? I just kept thinking, where do you get off? But nonetheless, one thing I do find interesting, regardless of how you feel about all this, is that so Uber is now having to pay out these $1 million claims. So I'm just curious. I need to see, like, when this all plays out, did the driver's insurance pay out any either? Or are they just trying to claim the $1 million off Uber that Uber's supposed to be paying on all these accidents? And that's what's going to be interesting to me, because we haven't seen a lot of the Uber this play out. Like, okay, I mean, we've heard stories, but are they paying the $1 million that they're supposed to, or do they really kind of just have some coverage that covers a little, but they also need the other insurance to come in, as we've been told, the driver's insurance. So do all these people have fake driver's insurance, or is Uber going to pay $1 million on each of these claims, even if they end up being false and they have to be paid back? It would be interesting to see if Uber is paying $1 million on each, and is the driver's insurance paying anything on these? And we're going to get some because they're public record, because this is going to court.